Namaste and good morning students, welcome to M Science. So this is the third part based on the first chapter of grade 5 science named as Reproduction in Plants. So in the previous two parts we have completed this chapter. So let's start the exercise. So the first question is given here, choose the correct option in the objective section. So let's start with the first of that. Which of the following can grow into a new plant from its leaf? That means ऐसा कौन सा प्लांट है जो नीचे दिए गए ऑप्शन में से अपने लीफ से रिप्रोडक्शन करता है. So the first option is given there, potato. So as we know, these potatoes are getting reproduced through their nodes or eyes, right? Then onions are there. So onions are getting reproduced through their bulbs. But the bryophyllum is the plant here which is getting reproduced through their leaves. And carrots are there, we know they are getting reproduced through the roots. Let's see the next. Which of these reproduces through stem? So the first is potato, second is bryophyllum, third one is sweet potato, and fourth is fern. So as we have learned now that potato is getting reproduced through their eyes, then bryophyllum through the leaf, then fern plants are getting reproduced through their cones. So the sweet potato is the plant which is getting reproduced through the stem. So this will be the answer for this. Then next is there question 3, that underground stem like the potato and ginger have blank space on them. So what they have on them to getting reproduced? So we know that seeds, tubers, eyes and ears, these are the options. So as we know that potatoes and gingers have eyes on them. Okay, but these eyes are the part of tubers. So that's why we can choose here as a tuber. So this will be the answer for the third number. Then fourth is there, the main function of the blank space is to protect the flower during bud stage. As we know, petals are here and the function of petal is that just attracting the insect toward itself, right, towards the flower. Then next is anther here. So anther's function is just holding the pollen grains inside them. And the stigma is there. Stigma has the function to just stuck the pollen grains to them. So this is the answer for the fourth question, that sepals are the part which is protecting the flower in the bud condition. Let's start the next, that fifth one. This is the male part of the flower. So out of this part, which part is the male part of the flower? So as we know, pistil is the female part which consists of stigma, then style and ovary. Then style is the female part is here and ovule is the female gamete. So that's why stamen is the correct answer for that. This is the male part of the flower. Now see the next one, question B, fill in the blanks. So the first question in that, blank space of the dahlia can give rise to a new plant. That means ये जो plant है dahlia, ये कौन सा मोड यूज करता है उसके रिप्रोडक्शन के लिए? So as we know, dahlia is getting reproduced through their roots. So we have to fill root here. Then second fill in the blanks is there. In onion, new plants grow from onions. In the first question, we have discussed that onions are getting reproduced through their bulbs. So we have to put bulbs here. Then third one, blank space is the female part of the flower. Just now we have discussed that pistil is the female part of the flower, or we can write also gynoecium here. As we know, gynoecium also the female part of the flower, which is also called as the pistil. Next one, 4, transfer of pollen grains to the female part of the flower is called. So this is the process in which pollen grains are getting transferred from stamen to the pistil. That is called pollination. So we have to put here as a pollination. Next is there the ovary changes into a blank space and ovules changes into a blank space after fertilization. And as we know, after the fertilization, the flowers are ready to produce the fruits from them. So first of all, this ovary turns into the fruit. Ovary changes into the fruit and the ovule changes into the seed then whenever the fruits are getting developed there. तो ये जो ओवरी है वो फ्रूट्स में कन्वर्ट हो रही है एंड जो ओव्यूल्स है वो सीड्स में कन्वर्ट हो रहे हैं, राइट. सो लेट्स सी क्वेश्चन सी. राइट T for the true statement or F for the false statement. Otherwise we can write directly true or false here. So the first statement is there, strawberry plant propagates through bulbs. So this statement is false. Why? Because as we know, strawberry is the runner and which is growing horizontally with the stem. So that's why this statement is false. Second statement is there, runners and suckers are type of roots. This is also the false statement because these runners and suckers are the stems which are growing horizontally. Next one is the third, that plants found in hilly area generally reproduce through the cones. We know that plants like the cedar, then pine, these plants are the plants which we found on the hilly regions. So these plants are getting reproduced through their cones. So that's why the third statement is true statement. Next is there, sepals are the most attractive part of the flower. So as we have learned in the above question that sepals are protecting the flower during the bud condition. So these sepals are the green leaf-like structures are available on the flower. So we can say these sepals are not attracting the flower insects toward them. That means these sepals are not the attractive part of the flower. That's why this is the false statement. Now see, because you know that ये जो attractive part होता है वो होता है petals, as it has the different colors there. Now see, fifth statement is given there, reproduction through leaves is vegetative propagation. Reproduction through leaves is vegetative propagation. So as we know, the reproduction of the plant from their part called as the root, stem, leaves. So these are their vegetative parts. So that's why leaf is included in the vegetative part. That's why this statement is true statement. So you have to write it as a true. Now see, next question, question D, match the following. So first column is of the different plants is given and the second is the mode of their reproduction. So first plant is cedar. So cedar, we can choose for cedar option D because cedar is getting reproduced through the cone. That's why we have to connect it with the option D. Then next is bryophyllum. So as we know, bryophyllum is getting developed through their leaves. So that's why we have to connect this point 2 to the option E, to the leaf. Next is onion. Onion is getting reproduced through their bulbs. So option B for the onion. Then strawberry. We know that strawberry is the runner. Why it's a runner? Because its horizontal stem growing above the soil, right? And next one is mint. So mint is the sucker. Option C, we have to connect mint with the option C because mint plant grows horizontally below the soil. That's why we have to connect that mint to the suckers. So this is all about the objective section. Now see, the theoretical questions are shown there. So the first question in that, question A, answer the following question in brief. So see, what is the vegetative propagation and which part of the plant are called as the vegetative? So let's focus on the first question of that. What is the vegetative propagation? So the reproduction in the plant through their parts named as their stem, their roots, their leaves. If these plants are getting reproduced through this part, that reproduction in that part in that plant is called as the vegetative propagation. And which part of the plants are called as the vegetative? The part called as stem, roots and leaves as well as branches. These are called as the vegetative part of the plants. Now see the next question. How does a bryophyllum plant reproduce? So as we know, whenever the leaf of this bryophyllum plant coming in contact with soil and obtain the favorable conditions like the proper moisture, temperature and contact of soil, this plant will be grow from their leaf. Then third question, differentiate between runners and suckers. So as we have learned about the runners and suckers, so the strawberry is the example of runner and the mint is the example of sucker. So just observe the diagram in front of you now and see the difference. These runners are growing horizontally above the soil while the suckers are growing horizontally but below the soil. So this is the main difference in between the runners and suckers, and the examples are strawberry and mint. Now see the next. Name the part of the flower where pollen grains are stored. What is the importance of the pollen grains? So first discuss about the importance of the pollen grains. As we know, pollen grain is the exact male part of the flower which will develop the fruit from it whenever it is getting fused with the female part called as the ovule at the ovary. So this is the importance of the pollen grain. Why? Because until their fusion with the ovule, new plant, not the seed, will get produced in the fruits. Even the fruits will not also get developed there. So name the part of the flower where pollen grains are stored. As we know, pollen grains are stored inside the anthers of the stamen, right? Let's see the next question. Question 4. Name the male and female part of the flower. So we know that androecium is the male part of the flower and gynoecium is the female part of the flower, in which androecium is made of stamen, which consists of anther and filament. Then this gynoecium is consists of 3 parts and also called as the pistil. So the 3 parts of the pistil are stigma, style and ovary. Now see the next one and the last of this. What is pollination? As we know, pollination is the process in which the pollen grains are getting transferred from stamen to the pistil. That means from anther to the stigma. This process is called as the pollination. Now see the next question is there. Question B. Answer the following question in details. So the first question is there. How does vegetative propagation happen in potato? And explain with the help of a diagram. So you just have to draw a diagram here of the potato which has developed many nodes or ears on it. That diagram you have to draw here and you have to label it well. And after that you have to explain that how does potato is getting reproduced. So as we know, potato is getting reproduced through their tubers. So what are these tubers? Tubers are the bulgy part which have developed many nodes or eyes on them. And out of this, each eyes and nodes are further will be able to develop a new potato plant from them. So in this way we can say the vegetative part called as the tuber, potatoes are getting developed from them. The next question is there. What are the 4 main parts of the flower and how do they help flower? So as we have learned that stamen, then pistil, then sepals and petals. These are the 4 main parts of the flower. And how do they help to the flower? Because sepals are holding the all flower. Then we can say petals are there. Petals are attracting the insects to bring their pollination. This is the importance of the petals. That's why they have the different colors there. Then the third part is there as a stamen. Stamen holds the pollen grains from the anther of it. That means stamen is the male part of the flower as they are producing the pollen grains there. Then the last one is the what? Last one is what? It's a pistil, and pistil is consist of three different parts like stigma, style and ovary, which is holding ovules at the ovary, exactly the female part of the flower. So in this way, this male part called as the stamen and the female part called as the pistil, bringing the reproduction in flowering plant, as their gametes are getting fused with each other during the process of fertilization. So let's take the last question now. Question C. Label the given picture, also draw the neat diagram of them in your notebook. So let's take the example of first diagram. You can see the plant shown here, it's a type of sucker, as its horizontal stem is growing below the soil there, and this plant is the mint plant, right? So just observe here, the first line shown here, we have to just name here as a main stem. This is called as the main stem because this stem is the sucker. Horizontal stem is growing there, this is the sucker, and this is the main stem. Then this one is the taproot, as it is on the tip of the root, this is called as the taproot. Then horizontal stem is called as the sucker, and this is the root of that sucker. So we have to name as a root here, sucker, taproot and main stem, right? So draw this diagram in your notebook well and label it well. The second diagram is here. You are observing the longitudinal section of the flower is shown here. So let's start with the right first. So this is the anther and filament, and we know that together we are calling anther and filament as the stamen. So you just have to put here as a stamen. Then the next one is there. You are just observing a flower pot like structure is there. So this is the stigma, style and ovary, and we know that altogetherly all these three are called as the what? This is the pistil, right? So you have to write here as a pistil. Then the below the ovary you can see there is a bulgy part, and we know that this is the upper end of the stalk and it is called as the receptacle. So you have to put here as a receptacle. The next one is that the green leaf-like structures are shown here and the arrow is shown to them, and we know that these are just protecting the flower during the bud condition. So these are the sepals. These are called as the sepals. So put here as a sepal, and this is the colorful part of the flower. So we know that that is the petals. So in this way we have completed the exercise of our first chapter. And in the next chapter there is a seed germination and dispersal. In this chapter we are going to learn the next processes of the pollination and fertilization. So we will take it soon. If you want to see the previous videos of this chapter, then the links are given in the description. So please click that links and watch that videos. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe our channel. Thank you.